Let me ask about the FAA specifically. Would it change your view on Boeing at all if, in fact, the FAA came out and said, we're going to ground these planes as well?
Not really. So there are about 350 aircraft globally of the 737 MAX variant, and it wouldn't really change our view. So what we put together is a scenario analysis. If there was a potential FAA grounding and deliveries and production were halted for, say, 2 months or 3 months, it would be a push out. We said this would be about a 5% impact to Boeing's revenues for 2019. So to put that in context, the 737 accounts for about $29 billion of sales in our estimates, or 30% of total company sales for Boeing.
And what does their order book look like right now for this aircraft, the 737 MAX series?
So the order book is quite strong, and that's not a concern. As of January, the order book stood at about over 4,600 aircraft. It accounts for 80% of Boeing's orders on a unit basis.
Well, for those of us who don't follow commercial aircraft purchases that regularly, when Lion Air says we're thinking about switching over to Airbus, is that a fairly hollow threat, at least in the short and medium term?
So there's always a lot of posturing with customers, obviously a very global customer base. The 737 MAX orders stretch across 80 customers, so a very wide group. The backlog is, as I mentioned, over 4,600 aircraft. That's over 7 years or so. So it's not easy to switch from one OEM to the other, but obviously there'll always be price negotiations, and there'll always be headlines out there.
Sheila, what's your level of confidence right now with Boeing management?
I thought the press release on Monday evening, on the 11th, was actually quite helpful in that they said they're working with the FAA with some of the MCAS issues. They'll have a software fix in by April. I thought that press release said a lot.
So Sheila, as somebody who follows this stock carefully, would you feel better or worse about Boeing if, in fact, the CEO came out today and said, you know what, I'm not going to wait for the FAA, I'm just going to ground them myself until we make sure we get to the bottom of it? I mean, we're reminded of the Tylenol scare way back in the day when Jim Burke did that for Johnson & Johnson.
So, again, I don't think a grounding would have a significant difference in our view of what we think of the stock overall, or what we think of the aircraft. We saw that with the 787, let's not forget, from, I believe, January till April of 2013.
Right. No, I think I understand your point about the money. What about the brand? What about Boeing saying the thing that we care about more than us is safety? We don't think there's anything wrong with our aircraft, but we don't want to take any chances we're going to ground them ourselves. Do you see what I'm saying?
Sure. From their, communications perspective, they could take the view they like. I like keeping it to the financials from my perspective. But, I think we've seen several changes over the years where, the 787 battery issues now look like they've been in the past as the program is getting more profitable. The A320neo had its speeding issues last year with the engine. So these issues come and go. Obviously, this is of a significant magnitude.